Cold Pop! What is up to all our sidekicks and henchmen out there in the Geek Nation? My name is Noel, and today I'm going to do a couple of Thunder Rounds. Before I do that, I do want to say it's been a couple of weeks since I contributed anything to the channel or was on the show. That's because I was busy getting married and going on a honeymoon vacation and yada yada. Hold for applause. I know, it's pretty cool. But one of the cool things that I got to do was catch up on a lot of reading while we were relaxing during a tumultuous week. So I want to talk a little bit about the cool stuff that I got to read and quick opinions, and then I'll get into my Thunder Rounds. What's a Thunder Round? A Thunder Round is a 60-second review of a comic book that came out this week. I have two of them that I wanted to talk about real quick. One's a little different than what we normally talk about, but you'll see. And before we get into any of it, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you like what we do on this channel. You'll also be notified as to when we go live or post new content. Speaking of going live, every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go live with our Cult Pop podcast where we talk about this. We talk about and review this past week's comics. Sometimes we do book review. We talk about pop culture news, general awesomeness, which you are welcome to contribute into. Join us live. Join the conversation. We'll talk. But yeah, before I get into this week's Thunder Rounds, I kind of want to talk about some of the stuff that I got to read while on vacation. I came back to a large stack of weekly books because I obviously didn't have a shop down there or where I went. But I grabbed a bunch of trades of stuff that I'd been meaning to read. And I plowed through a couple of them and I just wanted to real quick go over it. So the first one is Volume 2 of The Old Guard, Force Multiplied, by Greg Rucka and Leonardo Fernandez, I believe? Leandro Fernandez, I apologize. Second volume, if you hadn't read the first volume, pretty dope. Movie's quite fun. Second volume, doper. I liked it a lot. Resident Alien, Volume 1. This is by Peter Hogan and Steve Parkhouse. It's now a television show, or it's about to be a television show on Sci-Fi. Looks pretty cool with Alan Tudyk. Decided to read the first volume that had been sitting here for a while. Very charming, pretty good. I could totally see how this would be a TV show. Extremity, Volume 1 by Daniel Warren Johnson, who did art and story. This was surprisingly quite interesting. Or actually, I knew it was going to be interesting. Daniel Warren Johnson of Murder Falcon fame. His stuff is always wonderful to look at. Oh, also Wonder Woman Dead Earth, fantastic. This is one of two volumes. It's like a 12-issue maxi series. I'm not even really going to talk about what it's about. It's just the art is spectacular. It's post-apocalyptic, but also futurism, also family drama, but really, really gory and crazy houses fighting kind of way. It's really cool. It's very, very cool. I would highly recommend this. We read Moonshine Volume 1 by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rissoff. I read this but this was also for book club. It was fine. And I've been on a Tom Taylor kick for a long time and picking up all the stuff that I had not read of his from before. Superior Iron Man. There's two volumes of this. This is the first volume that I finally grabbed and took with us to read. And this is really good. Way better than I thought it would be. Can't wait to read the second volume. And one of the last things that I read while on vacation was I did a really big chunk into the first Irredeemable Omnibus, which prompted me immediately to contact JD and ask for Incorruptible. So I plan on doing a full read through of those two stories by Mark Waid, which were great. So that's how I spent my vacation outside of getting married and celebrating and drinking and enjoying scenery with my wife. But let's get into the meat of it. Let's talk about the Thunder Rounds. So there are two things that I wanted to talk about today. I'll get my timer all set up. All right. So one is a single issue and one is a trade paperback, an original graphic novel that came out this week. It usually wouldn't fall into the realm of Thunder Rounds, but it's a very light read. I got through it in one sitting. No one's really talking about it. It was pretty wonderful, so I figured I would use this opportunity to talk about it real quick, but we'll get the issue done first. So I wanted to talk about issue 10 of G.I. Joe by Paul Allor, written by Paul Allor, with art by Chris Evanhuis. Huis, H-U-I-S. I'm gonna butcher it, I'm sorry. But yeah, we talked about the very first issue of this book on the show. I very much enjoyed it, obviously, because I continued reading it. The other guys had a middling response to it, but seemed to dig it okay. Not enough to actually follow it, but it was a competent new version of the story. All along, I've been very impressed with this series as it goes. It's just very good. I'll talk about it. Okay, so let's get the clock started and go. So, G.I. Joe number 10. This is a limited maxi series. I think it's only going to be about 12 issues when it's all said and done. This is a reimagining of the IP in such a way that it places the G.I. Joe Cobra conflict in present day, and Cobra itself is actually a large corporation who had their fingers in everything from pharma to technology. Think of it as like an evil apple that slowly over time through their assets took over. It wasn't, it is a military coup, but it was a little bit more pernicious than that. And the way that this story plays out is you've got all your familiar G.I. Joe characters, but every issue is almost like a small anthology inside of the larger scope of this new America. So in a way, every issue is slightly standalone, but it also is just another little puzzle piece of the whole. It's very impressive. Oh, alarm. It's very impressive. I really enjoy it. It's really, really good. I think this will definitely read really, really well in trade. Anybody else that's reading it along in issues, I would love to hear your opinion. I have no one else in my life that I could talk to this book about, but it's just an incredibly impressive book, and I'm very happy that I'm reading it. I'm almost positive that IDW did not do a trade of the first handful of issues. They're just going to collect all of it together, and I think that comes out early next year. I would highly recommend people picking it up. It seems as though it's a very, very good standalone reimagining of the G.I. Joe Cobra conflict, and if you're a fan of the show and all the other comics and stories and stuff, it might be a really fun read. Just throwing it out there. Pick it up if you want it. You won't be disappointed. The second thing I wanted to talk about is Planet Paradise by Jesse Lonergan. This is a digest-sized, it's more like an ash can-sized original graphic novel. Now, Jesse Lonergan kind of came on my radar when we reviewed Hedra, which was a one-and-done large format issue. We reviewed it for the show. It was a silent issue. It was just all art, excellent layouts, really, really, really fun dynamic panels. It was the kind of thing that we read as much as you can read a silent issue. And we talked about it for longer than any of the other books that week because it stuck with you. It was a really, really well done story, and it was just impressive. So I immediately put my name down on the list for this, which was coming out in the next couple of weeks. I thought I was going to take my time with it, but I actually just read it all in one sitting. It is not a silent issue. There is some dialogue in here. However, it is very sparse, but in a good way. So let's get the clock and go. Planet Paradise by Jesse Lonergan. He does both scripting and art and coloring, I believe, too. So it's a full in-house. But this is a story, This is a story of a couple going on vacation to a pleasure planet. Think like Fifth Element, where you've got the Lost in Paradise kind of thing. In order to get there, they have to be in cryo sleep for like 2 weeks or something. During that trip, the mission is sidelined and they crash land on a dangerous, barren planet. The only guest that's woken up is this woman whose name is Eunice, she's a vacationer, and one of the pilots who breaks their leg. The story is a telling of how they survive, if they survive, and how the couple is reunited and what happens after that. But it's done in such a graphical, sparse, very, very competent and fun. That was the alarm. I'm gonna ignore it again. Very competent and fun way. It's a very funny book. It's a very sweet book. It's a very frustrating book because the dynamic between the surviving passenger and the pilot is very frustrating and kind of annoying, but in a good story kind of way. But if you had read Hedra, then you know Jesse Lonergan's panel work does about 95% of the heavy lifting when it comes to storytelling, and this is no exception. There is dialogue, there is sound effects, but they almost are just gravy, ancillary, a cherry on top, because you could just flip through this and know exactly what's happening. You know exactly what each character is going through and what they're about to say. This is really good. This is a really good, fun, light read. I would highly recommend it. This is a creator that's just kind of exciting. So anytime, any opportunity that we have to highlight something like this on our platform, we take it because this is really, really cool. Planet Paradise by Jesse Lonergan. Like I said, it's a digest / ashcan sized original graphic novel to give you kind of like a frame of reference. Here's Moonshine, a normal trade, and this is Planet Paradise. Retails for $16.99. In my opinion, it was very worth it. So that was it for me this week. Maybe we'll do some other Thunder Rounds this week, but regardless, we're going to be here Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we live stream our Cult Pop podcast, where we talk about and review this past week's comics, some news, reviews. Enjoy the camaraderie of a couple of blokes and fellas and friends just shooting the crapola, whatever. But yeah, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, let us know what's going on, and please jump in the comments, ask me some questions. Let me know what you thought of any of these, a gajillion things that I read and talked about. And you know what, if you want to congratulate me, that's totally cool too. I'm not looking for that kind of praise. It's like Herculean that I got married. I'm just very excited about it, and I want to share. Anyway, thank you guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.
Cult Pop!